Hi guys, welcome to Hogarth On Demand. My name's Gabriel from the Hogarth, and today I'm just going to deliver a warm-up for runners. So some of you might be new to running or just want to improve your form, improve your technique, or just feel a bit better when you run. So we're going to run through a 15-minute routine, which is going to consist of 5 exercises you can do before you go for a run. They're really straightforward, really simple, and the purpose of these is just to help improve your performance and reduce risk of injury. First exercise is Spidermans. Okay, so this is a mobility exercise. The purpose is to mobilize your hips, your hamstrings, your calves, also your lower and so your lumbar and thoracic spine. All you need to do to get started for these is be in press up position. Okay, so we're starting here. We take the knees off the floor, and for the Spiderman, all we do is step in. We're trying to get the foot as close to the hand as possible. However, don't do this at the expense of your spine. Okay, so we shouldn't be rounding the spine when we arrive in the top position. And we also don't want to do this at the expense of not being able to flex the hip. Okay, so we're trying to close that hip and ankle angle and get them nice and close together. So we're getting a really good stretch in there. So if you want to be able to increase that angle, step your foot further back, and that might allow you to go a little bit deeper. Okay, we're getting really good mobility through the ankle there. And then when we get to this position, we're also trying to keep the back leg straight, and we're going to reach for the ceiling. Okay, so as we rotate to this position, trying to really open up my chest, I'm only going to throw my arm as far as I can open my chest. Okay, sometimes you see people throwing the arm back like this. The arm is moving independently of the body. We don't want that. Okay, we want the arm to guide and move with the torso. Okay, so we return back to that position there, and then we step the foot back and do the same on the other side. So it's a big step in. I'm trying to plant my foot firmly into the ground. I'm trying to make sure my back leg is straight. That's quite hard. Try to retain that straightness in your back, and then reach for the ceiling, open everything up, deep breaths out, and then return it. So you're looking for anything between 6 to 10 of these. Okay, you might find it really difficult loading into your shoulders like this for longer than 30 seconds. So if you find it really tough, just do 4 to 6 reps. If you find it quite easy, go for 10. And this is a really good hip opener to get you started in your warm-up. Okay, so for these, we're just going to do 1 set of 10 reps. Okay, if you find it difficult, just do a few less. So I'll take you through these in real time. Ready? 1. Reach. Deep breaths out. 2. Breathe. 3. Open up. 4. 5. Really take your time on these. Try and feel your way into the movement. 6. 7. 8. 9. 1 more. 10. Okay. So, if you do 10 of these, that should really get your heart rate up. Okay, you should feel like the blood's starting to pump around your body, upper and lower. It's a little bit of core work. So you should start to feel like your heart rate's elevating after these. Okay, so on to the next exercise. Okay, so next exercise is for ankle mobility, okay? I don't really have a name for this exercise, I just call it ankle mobility drill, and you know, it does exactly that. A lot of people have running issues, injury issues when it comes to running in terms of things like shin splints, calf pain, you know, knee pain, which then has knock-on effects for hip pain, lower back pain, and so on. And the important thing to remember is that everything is connected, and a lot of these issues can sometimes stem from the ankles. So you want to pay really close attention to making sure that when you go out running, you've got good mobility in your ankles and that you're feeling good in that area. So this drill is really simple. I'll just show you from the side angle here so you can see exactly what you need to do. We're going to use the wall. Okay, we're going to line our foot up about 6 inches away from the wall. Okay, so my toe is 6 inches away from the wall, and all I'm going to do here, I've got support through my back foot here. Okay, so I'm not doing anything with this back foot, I'm just supporting myself. And with my front foot, all I'm trying to do is push my knee forwards to touch the wall. Okay, now depending how easy or hard you find it to touch the wall, you might need to move your foot further forwards or move it back. Okay, so ideally we've got our distance 6 inches away. I'm going to keep my heel planted firmly into the floor, and then I'm going to drive my knee to gently touch the wall there. Okay, so you can see I'm getting a good bit of mobility through my front leg. I then bring my foot back and my knee back to a fully extended position. Okay, you drive it forwards again. I'm driving straight through my middle toe. Okay, so right down the center, trying to keep a really good straight line, and I'm going to get 5 of those. After number 5, what I'm going to do is drive inwards towards my big toe. Okay, so I'm changing the angle that I'm pushing at. My toe is still pointing directly forwards towards the wall, but I'm driving my knee across towards my big toe. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, same thing, driving outwards towards your little toe. This one you might find slightly harder. I definitely find it harder because I've had ankle injuries. But this time you're trying to drive outwards. If you can't get all the way into the wall, don't worry, don't force it. Just go to your ankle's natural furthest position that it will allow you to go. And then once you've got 5 of those, you're just going to switch and go onto the other leg. So we'll go straight into that one now. Same distance from the wall. You can use this as an opportunity to compare your distances. So you can see whether you have more mobility in one foot than the other. Okay, and that can sometimes help you identify where some of your problems might be stemming from. Okay, so again, I'm driving 5 straight down the middle. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you have lines on your floor, you can use those lines to help you gauge your distances. Now driving into the big toe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, remember the angle of your foot stays the same all the way through. Driving to the outside now, to the little toe. I sometimes creep my foot a tiny bit closer to the wall for these. One more. I'm trying to make sure my heel doesn't come off the ground. Okay, 15 reps on each leg. So next exercise is an exercise called Arabesque. However, we're going to add a twist to it. We're going to get ourselves into a quadricep stretch, and we're going to do the Arabesque whilst holding a quad stretch. Okay, so first of all, this is a difficult movement in isolation, and then with the quad stretch, it's even harder. Okay, so I wouldn't pressure yourself too much to get this one perfect. One thing I would do is give yourself a little bit of support. So if you have a wall near to you, hold on to this wall while you're working, okay, and that will kind of help you get used to the movement. Okay, so an arabesque normally looks like this. We come forward like that, and then we come back to this tall position. And we would try to keep ourselves balanced on one leg while we get a few reps out of this movement. Okay, so this is what I would normally do. Okay, what we're going to add to that is the quadricep stretch. So we grab our ankle like this, trying to hold ourselves nice and upright. Okay, and then we're going to do exactly the same thing. However, you're going to feel a real pull through your quadriceps here, right through your hip flexor, while we come out. Okay, remember, if you've never done this before, hold onto the wall, use it for balance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now, before we go into the next set, let me explain to you why this is such an important exercise. Okay, most common injury when running is knee pain. Okay, often, a lot of the time, that comes from tightness through the front of the body. So when we have such sedentary lifestyles, particularly at the moment, we're all spending a lot of time in a position where our hip flexors are very active. So we're constantly in hip flexion. We're constantly tight in this area, so we build up a lot of tension through our quadriceps, and this becomes a really tight area. What happens then? It causes a tilt, an anterior tilt in our hips. Okay, you can see that I've got quite an anterior tilt anyway. You know, I've got quite high hips. So that is from having quite a lot of tightness here at the front, and what that causes is a lengthening through the back of your body. So your hamstrings become really long and stretched through the back, okay, which in terms of running, that doesn't help us, okay, because we want to be strong through the back. We want to be able to have powerful extension through our hips and our hamstrings. Okay, so what we're doing here, we're trying to address that tightness in our quadriceps by stretching it. Not only are we doing that, we're also trying to improve our ability to function on one leg. Okay, so when you think about running as an action, running as a skill, when you run, you are never on both legs at the same time. You're always on one leg or the other leg. So for you to improve your skill of running, it's really important to be able to be strong and stable and be able to hold yourself in this single leg position. And when you complete your running action, you're driving forwards. It's about being able to powerfully extend your hip in that position. So when we do our arabesque, we go from this knee slightly flexed position, and we're practicing extending our hip in a single leg position, going from there to there. So we're switching on the hamstrings, okay, the back of your legs, and we're switching on the glutes. Okay, so I'll take you through that in full now. 5 reps each leg. 1, 2, focus on knee stability, focus on being nice and strong at the top of your hip. 3, 4, 5. Okay, onto the other side. It takes a lot of practice to get good at these. I would say 9 times out of 10 you're going to need something to hold on to for support. Make sure you get a nice stretch through your hamstrings. Make sure you maintain your posture as you go down. Should be eyes ahead of you. Let's get one more there. And relax. next exercise is inchworms. So for this exercise, we're focusing on lengthening ourselves through the back of the body. Okay, so it's really good one for stretching out your hamstrings, your calves, but also your lower back as well, and just building that posterior chain. Okay, so we're focusing on engaging everything through the back of the body. Okay, so all we can do for this one, we're going to find ourselves a little position on the floor where we're in press up, really similar to the Spiderman position. Okay, but what we're going to do is push the heels in towards the floor and walk the feet inwards. You go as far as you can. When you can't go any further, hold it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then you can bend your knees and step back out to press up position. There are variations of inchworm where you do this slightly differently. This is just my version of it. I'm holding. 3, 2, 1. Knees bend. Step back out. Last one. Just going for 3 of these. 3, 2, 1. Okay, that's tough. If you really go to the end point of your stretch, obviously you don't want to overstretch, but you do want to really get that blood going through the back of your legs there. Okay, really build that one up. Okay, last exercise before you go out on your run is a proprioception exercise. Okay, so proprioception in a nutshell just means your ability to feel your movement and understand what it feels like to plant in the right position, and become accustomed to a good running technique. Okay, so this one is really straightforward, and it's really dead simple. Okay, we're going to just move walking along the mat, and you're going to do that with your toes pointed up. So you're going to be loading through your heels for the first one, and then we're going to do another one walking just through the tiptoes, and then we're going to do another one just walking with the outside of the feet. Okay, so for the first one, I'm lifting my tiptoes off the floor, I'm digging just my heels into the ground, and I'm going to walk all the way forwards for about 1 meter or 2, and then nice and controlled walking it back. I'm trying to keep my knees locked, so it's quite a rigid movement. Trying to keep my balance and just load through one part of the foot. Okay, if you want to, you can do that one twice. Okay, just so you get used to it. Going forwards again and back. Focus on your balance, focus on retaining your posture, keeping your core engaged. Then we're going to do tiptoes. Okay, this is another one. We're looking after the calves, looking after our ankle strength and mobility. Tiptoe forwards. Don't forget to work it backwards, still facing the same way, so you're testing yourself in that reverse movement. And then we'll do tiptoes forwards again. I'm sure some of you will be able to do better than me on these tiptoes. This is not a strength of mine. Okay, last one. Outside of the feet. Looks silly, I know, but these small things can make a really big improvement to your running. And we'll go one more time. Job done. Okay, so I hope you found this video useful. In terms of going through all of those exercises one by one, it shouldn't take you longer than about 10 minutes, 15 absolute tops. If you wanted to do 2 sets of everything, I would highly recommend that because it means when you go into your run, you're going to be completely warm. If you're in a little bit of a rush, or you're just looking for something just to whiz through briefly before you run, then one set is absolutely fine. Okay, but I would highly recommend doing either this routine or something highly similar to it every single time before you run. I would say never run cold. You know, the knock-on effect it's going to have in terms of reducing the amount of times you have little aches and pains or big injuries is going to make a huge difference for you. So I hope you found this useful and look forward to seeing you soon.